just a minute. So, okay.
All right. Hey, Laura, how are you? Ed, how are you?
Good evening.
Hey, I'm good. Can you hear me?
We can. I was just mentioning, Ed, that Jim and I decided to go down to the oversight hearings on the council today about MCPS.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting, really interesting, because the audience, of course, is mostly full of teachers and administrators from the system, and watching their reactions was more interesting than watching the people asking questions and answering them, because they were clearly not in agreement with a lot of the answers.
Oh, I'm sure.
Anyway, it was
I was coaching my basketball team. We had a game today.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to watch it.
well, we did it. We went down in part just to show the flag, but all the board members are there, so we got to talk to all of them. And Eric Guerci is there, so it was good to do that. And obviously the council members saw us there, so that was good.
Was the
Can I jump in
council
for 1
receptive?
second?
What? Go ahead.
Yeah, now.
Sorry, I just want to let you know I started the stream on YouTube.
Okay, we're ready to go then. All right, thank you. This is the meeting, the monthly meeting of the Fair Access Committee. And we got Nancy Kidd here. We've got Adam Soroka. Ed Reed is online, and so is Sarah, and so is Laura, who's with Foundry. And thank you again, Niles, for setting it all up. You got the minutes in front of you from January, or you had them. So if anybody had any questions about the minutes, if not, if somebody could make a motion to adopt them.
Sure, I'll motion that we adopt the minutes from the previous
Is there a
meeting.
second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. On the minutes, I've got some updates. I just wanted to go over a few of them because we got some loose ends on a couple of them. The community center, I think you guys saw all the testimony I sent around. Susan did a great job of clipping it, so we shared that with the council members and the staff. Got quite a few staff people especially, but also a couple council members like Marilyn expressing real support for what we did, but also very impressed that we had not just one speaker, but four. And also, they all stay within the 3-minute guideline, which is critical, really. If you're going to get people to listen to you, you got to cut off before they cut you off. So, and I don't know if you guys watched the videos, but I thought they all did an excellent job. Jacob, in particular, as a young person, was really a force. So, and I could watch the council members when he was testifying smiling, so that had an impact. So that worked out well. After I testified, the staff guy for Will Giovando came up to me, Hugo, and he mentioned that the next step in the process is it has to go to the committee of jurisdiction for the council to be considered, and then they recommend something back to the council. And Will Giovando heads that committee. I'm forgetting what the name of it is now, but I know it has to do with Parks and Recreation and other things. So Hugo's asked us to come in and meet with him and brief him, so I haven't got a time for that set, but essentially he wants our input on, why we need the community center, what the community support is for it, that kind of thing. So I'll fill you in more on that when I get a date, but that's the next step and that's not a hearing. What happens is the Recreation Department head and the head of Parks and Planning come in and they meet with the council members who are on that committee, and they have an exchange back and forth asking questions about the budget proposal from the county executive, and of course in the budget is our community center. So that's the next step, and then would they make a recommendation back to the council, and the final vote is sometime in the May timeframe. So after this, we don't really have any other major steps we need to take, but obviously we will continue to keep finding ways to
Push the button.
let them know that this is important. So I'll keep you filled in on that as I hear more, but that's where we are at this point in the community center. Any questions or any reactions, further ideas on that?
No, not that I can. No.
Okay. Also, I should mention too that Susan did post all of that on Facebook. So, and she also put it on Twitter. So we have it out on the social media too. So, I don't think any of you were at the PACC dinner. I did want to quickly mention that because the Poolesville Area Chamber of Commerce had their annual dinner, and we helped them try to get council members, and they got 4 council members, which is incredible turnout, honestly, and the county executive and Dale Tibbetts were all there. That's a great turnout. They had 60 members there, which is great, and Tom, the president of the PACC, asked me to give a talk about the Fair Access Committee and our agenda and how the PACC members could help. So it's a great way to bridge with them and get to know them better. And I think a lot of you know they're local business leaders, but it's great exchange. I think it was a good opportunity. But in that dinner, I was able to talk to Dale Tibbetts a lot about the Rosenwald sign, which we've been working on. We submitted some language to Dale. We worked with Tina Clark, who's, as you know, a leader in the Jerusalem community where the Rosenwald School is located. Also, Chuck Colburn's looked at the language. A number of people, Skip and Etheridge, and we submitted that saying, look, it's not perfect necessarily, but at least it's a good start. So the next step is to you guys take it, the county executive's office, and do what you need to do to refine it and make it something you think is satisfactory, and then get the sign ready to go, and then we'll have a ceremony around it. Dale asked me for some emails for people he should check with, and I gave him Skip's, and I gave him Tina's and others. So I'm hoping that we're actually moving closer to, probably some of you know, we've been trying to do this for 2 years, so. But I'm hoping we're getting closer now, and we even gave him some numbers on how much it costs to post a sign like that, because when the Montgomery lynching project sign was posted, I was on the board for that, and so I was actually involved in the bid process, and so they only paid $3,800 for that, which is a nice sign, I think. So more to come on that, but that was a good exchange as well. I wanted to give you guys all an update on the high schools. A lot is really happening on a lot of the projects that we've been involved in, and I also wanted to raise one that you're probably not aware of. But so I met with the principal earlier this week and went over a number of projects. One is the gym. And as you know, they broke the project up into 2 phases, Phase 1 and Phase 2. Phase 1 is the classrooms, and they're almost done, and the timing now is that the kids will actually be going in during spring break. So,
Okay.
in other words, the teachers will, and then the kids, when they come back, will be going into the new classrooms. That's April 4th, I think, or something like that. And that means that Phase 2 kicks off, which is the administration offices and the main gym. And obviously, we worked hard in getting that main gym. So one of the things I talked to the principal about is once this happens, I would love to see them do a nice community presentation and an overview of what this gym looks like, what the plans are for it. So the Booster Club in particular will know where the snack bar is and all those kind of things, because it's a whole different configuration than the existing gym. It's actually turned the other direction, so it's a whole different setup.
They should have renderings of it.
What's that?
They should have renderings.
Yeah, and they showed me renderings, but they're not, for people that aren't engineers, you couldn't understand them. So I tried to ask, I said, Seth, can't you just make a nice, simple drawing so that people can really see where these things are? Like, there's a wrestling room that I couldn't really understand where it was, looking at the drawing.
You should be able to go to the architect and say, we want some good renderings.
Yeah.
And the architect should be able to produce the renderings for them for,
Yeah.
for that space.
So we'll have to work on that, but we got some time. But so those are kind of really important steps coming along. I also talked to the principal about, you probably remember, back in the summer, we did a document. We worked with a local student named Joey Gearing, who did a documentary on the integration of Poolesville High School. And it was very successful. And during that process, one of the things that was raised as an idea was it would be a good idea. You got a new school. It's kind of a next step on the history of that school. Why don't we, at the same time, acknowledge an important historic event in the past, and that is the integration of the high school. And the idea was to put a plaque up acknowledging the 15 students who, as Skip said, were heroes, really, for doing that. And so I taught the principal. He's actually getting a little committee together. I think Skip Etheridge, Ed, is going to be kind of, which is great, I think, kind of be the leader on it. But they're going to help put together a plaque. And it may be that when the kids go into the new classrooms, that the day that happens, the morning that happens, they may do some little ceremony with the plaque. They haven't decided how to do that yet. He also asked me if the Fair Access Committee would be willing to pay for refreshments that morning when the kids are going, so they'll have some kind of a banner probably, and I said, we certainly will work with you on that. So, again, we got some time, but that's another thing that's planned. The other thing I wanted to mention to you that's a project I was a little aware of, but I'm more aware of it now, and the principal gave me a readout on this, but as you know, when our school was approved for modernization, they did not approve any funds for doing anything to the outside fields at all. And a lot of them are a mess, honestly. And the football field and the soccer field is actually in a pretty low area, and it's wet. So they've been pushing the principal and the athletic director, Gina, to have a whole bunch of improvements to our fields, including, better lighting and new fences around the baseball fields, grading, and they want to put artificial turf in. I'm not sure. I think some parents don't like that. I'm not going to get into that battle. Whatever they decide to do is fine with me. I just want to see a new field, a better field. They've gotten a lot of pushback, so we may need to help them with the PTSA and the board of the Booster Club weigh in on that and help try to get the funding to get these fields improved. He didn't ask us to do that yet, but he said they really haven't got as much cooperation as they wanted from the MCPS facilities planning folks.
That wasn't part of the gym renovation?
None of that was included in it.
Really?
No.
Okay.
The new gym is there, but none of the outside fields were ever part of it.
I thought that was for some reason.
Yeah.
That was all one, okay.
It should be. Honestly, every other school that we can look at that has been modernized had their fields done at the same time, which makes sense, but. So more to come on that, but I just wanted you to be aware that may be something we have to tackle too. So that's basically it with the principal. It's a good meeting and a lot of progress being made, a lot on the school. It was really exciting this spring to see the kids go into the classroom for the first time. So, any questions on that or input on that? Next, I wanted to mention briefly the pool bubble. We met with Gabe Albernaz as part of this visit that we've been doing, and we did talk with the community center, obviously, but part of it was talking with Gabe about the pool bubble idea because he was a rec department head for many years before he became a council member. And he gave us a lot of good ideas on how to push the idea. One of the things that we're trying to find out from him, he's got some sources that will help us, is to try to get a sense of what the cost would be. Marilyn Balcom, our council member, wants to help us on it. Not this year because the big battle this year is going to have to be funding for community center. But next year, she's willing to, I think, help with that. But we need to have some kind of an idea what it would cost. So Gabe gave us some contacts. He also gave us a couple places to visit that have a pool bubble so we can actually look at it and see how it's maintained and all that. And I'll get you information on that as we get it scheduled. But I think that's probably the next project that we're going to be working on. So more to come on that. But of course, we did submit that as part of the CIP letter. But we won't know till next year if it gets any traction or not.
Am I correct in assuming this would be a retractable bubble, so it'd still be an outdoor pool in the summer?
Yeah. The idea is to remove it in the summer, which presents some problems because the county doesn't actually do that. They actually have contractors that do it. So one of the reasons that we're having trouble getting numbers is the county doesn't really do that. They pay for it, but they don't actually do it. So finding out how that process works and the cost and all that's something that'll take some time, I think. So, and I think that's basically all the visits. I'm trying to get a visit, if we can get it, with Will Jolando. Hey, it's really weird because I have Will's cell phone. I've texted him a couple of times, and he said, yeah, he wanted to meet. But now his staff guy just contacted me today and said, why don't you just come in and meet with me? So I got to figure out what's going on with that. I don't think he's mad at us. I just think he's busy, but I still think we need to have a meeting, so I'm going to try to make that happen. So.
Yeah, and keep in mind, he's in charge of that education committee.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a whole lot keeping him hopping right now.
Absolutely. I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would still send him a text because sometimes when I text him, he'll respond, and then sometimes he's just real busy.
Well, do that. That'd be great. That's why you guys are here.
Yeah.
So if you that'd be great.
So
And-
I could text him also.
Part of that, Ed, might be that Chuck Copeland called me and said he wanted to meet with on mentoring in particular, because I don't know if you've probably been seeing this, but a real big interest that Will has is mentoring. And Chuck's got a big interest in that with the community center. He also wants to talk about African-American history sites out here, which he thinks Will doesn't know a lot about, and as much as he could. So it's probably a good idea to have him along at the meeting. So I think he knows Chuck too.
Yeah, then another piece that's big on Will's agenda is this concept of restorative justice, and so he really pushed for schools to have restorative justice programs, restorative justice coaches. So when you think about mentoring, and if you're talking with them about mentoring, also talk about like peer mediation and teaching kids how to conflict resolution. You kind of slide that in there.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, yeah, if you wouldn't mind doing that, that could help.
Okay. So when I text them, I'll let them know that you've been trying to reach them, so we can set up this time to get together and meet with them.
Good, that'd be great.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so moving on to key dates and action steps for us going forward. The February hearings are over for the council, the CIP. The last one was today. You know the muster campaign. I think you got some of the results, but I think we've ended up with 115 people responding, which means that essentially that's 9 times or 11 times 115 people emails that went out, which is really a pretty good response. I know Marilyn at the PACC dinner specifically mentioned, this is great, this is the kind of thing you need to do to support this, and, you know, she's our lead on this, but she said it helps her a lot, because now all the council members know the community, not only in our testimony, because we had 4 witnesses, but also with the emails is behind it, so that was good.
Just a general question. What percentage of people on our list is that? So is that a lot of the people on the list?
It's not anywhere near what it should be. I think the number of people on our list is around more like 1,200, so it's a pretty small fraction. We did have a couple of muster campaigns when we first started, back in 2020, I think, when we were battling just to get the school on the agenda to get funding, and we got much higher levels, and it might be just because of that, because it was such a tough issue and it was in the newspapers. I don't know. But it's a good question. We need to figure out, maybe we're not doing a good enough job keeping people apprised, or maybe they are just not as interested in what we're doing. It's hard to figure out. We do need to look at that, though, because we got a lot of members that just aren't responding. But 115, though, is still a good response.
That's great.
Yeah, it just could be bigger. You're right. It could be. So let's see. I'm going to send a thank you letter to the council, thanking them for listening to our testimony, and I've also got written copies of everybody's testimony. Make sure that we share that with them as well. And one thing we talked about, Laura, you may want to mention it. We talked about taking the clips and maybe making another one of those videos that we did before. That's sort of a way to remind them in a spiffy, interesting way that, you know, the community cares about a community center. It's really important. So I talked to Susan and Laura a little bit about maybe doing that. I haven't decided we need to, because, you know, obviously it costs money, but it may be important to just keep the drumbeat going, because somehow between now and May, when they actually have, and the really important time frame really is April, because April is when they have, I guess you could call it closed meetings, but they have discussions that aren't public about the budget. And that's when things get cut. So keeping a flow of information to them and their knowledge about it and how important it is important. So we may want to do a video like that. So Lauren and I and Susan will talk about it further, but we got the clips, and you saw the video, so we could use that to make something interesting, I think. Laura, did you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I'll check in with Susan. The audio quality from the dais there, when I was listening to them, is not the highest quality if we're going to produce a nicer video.
Yeah.
Again, we could include very short clips just to demonstrate the strength of the community, the fact that 4 people testified. But I would want to check that point, you know.
Look, well, I was thinking it's even create, if we wanted to do a video, then maybe have the same people who testified, maybe just do something with our own sound and record, you know, have our own video, brand new video, and you get some more folks in the background, so that when Jacob is saying his remarks, but you get more kids, get a big group of diverse kids around him, behind him, and even if you're standing in an open area, you say, hey, you know, this would be a great place if we could come here, but there's no community center. But if there were a community center, this is what we could do instead of just being outdoors, all right? And just kind of do something. It's like a marketing video, more kids, more faces, upbeat, same comments, And then if there's any change of events from now to the time they get ready to meet in those closed sessions that we catch wind of, then we could make some additional comments. Because they'll go back and read the old testimony, but it's just a way to get some new testimony in a video that's really a marketing tool to help remind them why this is so important.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Are you talking about getting more students than Jacob Lee, or are you thinking about just using the 4 people who testified?
No, so you have Jacob speaking, because he's a great speaker, and he has, he can deliver the message very well.
Yeah.
And then have some other students standing with him.
Yeah.
So imagine Jacob standing. You have even that group that came and spoke at the breakfast. You have a nice diverse group. Have that highlight the diversity of students from Poolesville, because I'm thinking about some of the folks that are sitting on the county council, and even though they've been out to Poolesville, sometimes they have a perception of Poolesville that's not necessarily as accurate as it should be, because when you go inside the school itself, there is a lot more diversity than people might believe that's out here in Poolesville. And when we think about Jacob's point, there are kids who come in from all over the community, all over the county, who come here. So all I'm saying is you have just a backdrop of kids and Jacob delivering that message.
Yeah. That's good. You think it's just Jacob is all, it probably is a good idea. Its student is actually, like I said, the council members were smiling when they saw him testify. So maybe that's all we need. I don't know.
You can Jacob, or you can have,
I thought the seniors angle was good too. If we could, maybe we could get the seniors to do the same thing, maybe. That's a good one. And certainly the healthcare one's always good too.
Voices. And you could put the healthcare piece in there.
Yeah.
So you could do separate videos, put them all together. So now you have like a highlight reel.
Yeah.
So now we're just showing you why Poolesville matters, and here's how we need your help.
That's good.
Laura, is that hard to put together? Like, could we do the video ourselves, or would you have to have somebody come out and do it? You probably need somebody to come out, right?
Yeah, our preference is to shoot it ourselves. It's just getting the groups of people together, honestly, at one time, so we can be efficient that way. But yeah, no, I mean, however you want to structure it, but our preference is to kind of control, because then we can control the quality of the video, the audio, and
Is that what you guys did? Well, right after we had the ribbon cutting for the school, and then we all went over to locals, and then you guys just kept us rolling through. Come in, we had said what we had to say it real quick. You guys managed all of that, and so same thinking.
Yeah, maybe there's an event, when the seniors meet, or like we could make it, hopefully efficient for getting a small group of the students, a small group of the seniors. I mean, it's just we try to be as efficient as possible, but yeah, those are great ideas.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should try to frame something up real simple. I don't think we have to have the details right now, but kind of do that and then share it with everybody and then see if we can't start putting it together. We got a little time, really March, because by April is when they're really going to start, the rubber meets the road then. So, okay. Good idea. Moving on from that, so the CIP process basically is ended after we get out of the committee, which is Will's committee. And in March 15th, Elbridge submits his operating budget. In that will be, we hope, and I think it is, the rural healthcare initiative that has been worked on by Andrew and Marilyn and Dawn, in particular Lutke. The last I checked with Marilyn at the PACC meeting, I've talked to Katie about it since then, it looks like it's around a $230,000 project. And one of the things I like about it is it's not going to be part of HHS's budget. It's going to be a separate line item on its own, which is good because HHS controls, if they have control of this, I think they're going to try to also, and they have in the past, try to control how things are done out here. And we want WMCA to have as much control about this as possible. So it's really a good initiative. But that should be in that budget on the 15th, and then we'll have to testify in that. The hearings for that are usually in April and May. Obviously, we'll try to do the same thing we did here. And WMCA will be testifying, obviously, but we could also get the seniors, I think, for the same reason. Healthcare is important to them. So, again, get more than one set of people to testify. So, and that'll kind of wrap up all the activities in the council that we're focusing on this year. So, the CIP is a 2-year budget. So once they approve it, they have to reapprove it next year, but next year it's basically amendments, it's not new stuff. So basically, they reapprove the second part of this first year, and you can add things, but you normally have a harder time doing that. So I don't think we're going to have much of a chance of getting the pool bubble in, because I don't think we'll have enough information, and I think it's just going to be asking a lot after we get the community center. So we may have to wait on that a little while longer. So, anyway, that's where we are on the budget. I think those are the main things I wanted to cover. Oh, I did want to mention, we have two seats that are empty for the Free Access Committee. We've got a candidate tonight here who's, he's sitting here listening how the committee operates. We've got several candidate members, but it was suggested, I think it's a good suggestion, that we should try to reach out again and try to get as much diversity as we can in terms of voices and thinking. So I wrote up a description of who the Fair Access Committee is and what the skill sets are that you need and that kind of thing. And Niles is going to take those. They have an email list of 1,250, I think, or something, to send it out. The only difficulty of that is that those are almost all Poolesville people. In fact, I think all are Poolesville. So I'm going to do a post too, and to make sure that people, because in our committee, as you know, it doesn't have to be all Poolesville people. In fact, it has to be a majority, but 3 members can be from outside the area. So
I think we could maybe reach out to I don't know, either another organization like Caroline Taylor over with the Countryside Alliance, or maybe even to Barnesville and see if they have an email list for Barnesville folks.
yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a group of community groups that I have emails for them, but probably you can just share it that way, because and Caroline's on there, Bob Sissel's group's on there, so maybe that's the way to
You
go.
might even look at one of the commissioners in some of the other towns.
Yeah,
I know there was one that went with us to one of the MML event, and it came out to the Christmas party, or the holiday party we had at
Yeah,
Lakers.
that's who I was thinking of. I couldn't remember
Yeah, I
his
was
name.
thinking, I couldn't remember his name either, but that might be a good person. Jim knows his name.
oh, the Barnesville, yeah, commissioner, yeah,
Yeah,
he does,
yeah, I could find his name if we need be.
yeah, okay. So, it's not an emergency, but we do want to fill those positions at some point, so. Is there anything else anybody wants to raise for the greater good? I think we've covered everything that we're working on right now, so.
No, but thanks. Hey, guys, and I'll tell you what, at that Poolesville Area Chamber Conference dinner, Link did a great job. He's modest, but he did a really great job with his remarks and wearing his Grinch mask as well. So Link did, like I said, you all will be proud of Link as always. So I just want to continue to echo the thank you, Link, for your leadership.
Thanks, Ed, I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, thanks, all of you, for coming, and thanks for all the work you've been doing on this committee, and we got a lot of work ahead of us, not so much just on the budget, but we've also got a breakfast coming up that we got to figure out what our theme will be this year, because if we get the community center and we get the school, it's going to be like, you guys have gotten a lot. Are you asking for more now? So we have to figure out some new theme here that still fits. I don't know what it'll be yet, but be thinking about that seriously, because we do need a theme that's going to work. And I think we still got a lot to do, and I think they know that, but it's going to be a little tougher now that we've gotten these 2 hits, and these are big hits when you think about it.
Right.
I mean, the school alone is $120 million, and the community center's at $15 or $16 million, so it's a lot of money going to this town. So, thanks to all of you, so.
Did you
And remember, it's catch-up money. It's not new money.
Yeah, that's
It's
what I said in my
catch-up money.
testimony. This is not new spending, it's catch-up spending. So, and I can see the smirks in their face, like, yeah, right. But it's right, you're right, absolutely right. So,
for the breakfast? Did you sign up the caterer again? Same one.
yeah, same one. I've already talked to him, so that's all set up. In fact, he is going to send me a bill for. They have to have an invoice to kind of reserve it, so that'll be good because they can come out of this year's budget. But anyway, all right. Well, thank you all. Thanks for coming to the meeting, and appreciate all the support. Thanks.
Thanks,
Niall.
Link. Thank you, everyone.
All
Thanks.
right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
I'll tell you, watching this hearing though, watching those.